Faithful. This one feels heavy right out of the gate, and it's not just because something went down in San Francisco. One of our defensive front names hit the news for the kind of headline that makes you pause mid-scroll, and it can shake a locker room and a schedule in a hurry. On top of that, there's a quarterback on this roster who might become trade currency, or stay as the best insurance policy in the league. Then there's an old familiar face popping back up between the lines, and yeah, it's going to reopen a debate that splits people right down the middle. And stick with me, because there's one detail that flips the entire 2026 picture in a real way. Do you trust the direction of this roster? If you ride with the 49ers, this first story lands different. Keon White was shot in the ankle during an event in San Francisco on Monday morning, according to Matt Barrows of The Athletic. Not a banged up in practice situation. Not took a weird hit on Sunday. This is real life colliding with football, and it changes the temperature around a team instantly. Here's what we know without turning it into a guessing game. White had surgery and is expected to be okay. Police said there was a verbal altercation between two groups inside a business on Mission Street. Shots were fired, and the victim was injured by an unknown suspect. And the most important piece for context, because it matters, is that White is not believed to have been part of that altercation, per the preliminary investigation. The team also said he was a victim, that he was undergoing surgery at a local hospital, and they'd provide more updates when appropriate. So why does this hit the 49ers beyond the obvious human side? Because our defensive front isn't just a unit. It's who we are. It's the motor that makes Levi's Stadium feel loud and uncomfortable for opposing offenses. White came in via trade, a conditional 2026 seventh-round pick after New England drafted him in 2023, to give you real depth with real juice. Rotation snaps, fresh legs, heavy hands, and those plays that don't make a highlight reel, but absolutely swing a fourth quarter. And the tension isn't only, how long is he out? It's how the room absorbs it. Sometimes something like this pulls everyone tighter. Guys rally, the defense plays for him, the whole group locks in. But there's a darker edge too. Distraction, worry outside the building, routine broken, and that quiet vulnerability nobody wants to say out loud. In an off-season where every rep is evaluation and every install matters, losing rhythm matters. I'm asking the faithful to handle this with some balance. You can break down the football side and still put the human part first. Health comes before everything. After that, the team has to be smart. Manage the recovery. Don't rush anything. Have real contingency plans. And keep the room focused without turning this into a built-in excuse if the defense hits bumps. And while we're still processing that shock, there's another behind-the-scenes decision that could swing the season in a completely different way. And it involves the most unexpected name from our year, Mac Jones. Some situations only get complicated because they're almost too good to have. That's Mac Jones for San Francisco right now. The coaching staff has said the expectation is he'll be here in 2026. Kyle Shanahan didn't dance around it. He's not trying to get rid of good players. But he also didn't bolt the door shut either. And in the NFL, the moment a door is cracked, somebody knocks. This isn't about doubt in Brock Purdy is the guy. Period. The real question is colder than that. What is the best plan B in the NFL worth when a big chunk of the league wakes up every day not knowing who their quarterback is? That's where the noise starts. QB-needy teams, front offices feeling heat, fan bases begging for stability. That's how can't say no offers get floated. And it's not just internet chatter. The blueprint has shifted. Instead of throwing a rookie out there and praying it clicks, teams would rather grab an experienced quarterback who can run the room, then spend premium draft capital building the rest. Protection, defense, run game, the full structure. Mac doesn't have the biggest arm in the world, fine, but his processing is fast, his reads are clean, and the locker room respects him. That's not nothing. That's a lot. When Purdy was sidelined, Mac stepped in and didn't sink the ship. The team won games, 5 wins and 8 starts. Were there mistakes? Sure. But there was also control, leadership, and something you can't fake. Calm when things got ugly. That's a big reason he was so well liked. Charisma doesn't show up on a stat sheet, but it can hold a team together when a season starts wobbling. And this is where the faithful splits. Everybody's already arguing about it. One side says, trade him now, maximize value, because a second-round pick changes draft boards and opens options. The other side is like, don't touch it, keep him, protect the window. Because once the season turns into a street fight, you only understand the value of a parachute after the engine cuts. So take a second and really picture it. If a team shows up with a serious offer, second rounder clean, or a third plus a sweetener, now the conversation changes. Not because you're being disloyal, because it's math. Cap, timeline, title window. But while we're going back and forth about who could leave for picks, there's another name, someone who already left, who might be circling back toward the front door. And that conversation hits identity, money, and emotion all at once. Some stories don't truly end, they just get quiet for a while. And when Debo Samuel's name starts hovering around the emotional orbit of this franchise again, that's not random, that's history tugging on the present. Last year felt final. Trade request, exit to Washington, chapter closed. But football isn't just spreadsheets and depth charts, it's people. And people reconnect. This didn't come from a formal announcement or an agent leak. It came from something stronger, the locker room. George Kittle dropped a line that sounded casual but wasn't. Maybe the team adds some past friends. When someone pushed him on it, he didn't shut it down. He brought up Debo, said he hung out with him, said it was fun. Then he gave you the simplest, heaviest sentence possible. I love Debo. And you can feel the fan base splitting in real time. One side opens the arms right away, missing that Debo hybrid weapon, the guy who bends defenses, scares coordinators, turns a simple slant into chaos, creates chunk plays when nothing's there. The other side? It's fair too. Age, cost, and production that hasn't touched 2021 since 2021. Plus the uncomfortable question, are you paying for nostalgia? Or are you building the next wave? In Washington, Debo was solid, not explosive. Good production, situational impact, not the peak all-pro version. The market value sitting around $13 million per year is where the tension lives. Is that worth it for a 30-year-old wideout when the league is screaming for young speed on rookie deals? Or is it worth it for a proven chess piece who knows this system, knows this locker room, and has already delivered in Santa Clara? Christian McCaffrey leaned into the vibe without talking cap space or contracts. He talked about energy, presence, that physical tone Debo brings when the ball's in his hands. He basically framed him as an offensive enforcer, and you don't manufacture that. You either have it or you don't. Here's the turn. Debo wouldn't come back as the plan A. He'd come back as the answer when everything tightens up. Third and long, red zone, game gets muddy, defense has the answers. Who creates something anyway? And while the faithful debates logic versus emotion, one thing is obvious. This franchise is trying to decide what kind of team it wants to be when the offense isn't clean. Which takes us right back to Kyle Shanahan, because he basically told you what he wants next, and he didn't sugarcoat it. When a genius admits he's bothered, you listen. Shanahan doesn't usually put it out there like this, and he definitely doesn't hand flowers to a rival while exposing his own frustration. But that's basically what happened when he talked about Seattle and Houston. It didn't sound like generic praise. It sounded like a strategic confession. Before we even get to the quote, think about the context. The Seahawks lifting the Lombardi in our building. Levi's Stadium as the stage for a division rival's celebration. That doesn't leave your head if you're competitive. And then Shanahan said it. There were two Super Bowl defenses this year, Seattle and Houston. 2. That's it. And when he explained what he meant, it was blunt. Defenses that can win on their own if the offense, special teams, and the other side don't mess it up. That's a massive statement from the best play caller in the league, because what he's really saying is, the offense won't always be perfect, and having a defense that can take over a game at will changes how you survive a season. It also sounded like a message to John Lynch without shouting his name. Shanahan wants that trump card. He's seen what it looks like when you run into a wall that doesn't crack. He's felt it. And he's laying out in plain language what the new recipe looks like. Now comes the debate. Some fans will say, hold up, this year was injuries. That's the whole story. And that's fair. Key guys missed time. The defense wasn't itself for stretches. Health alone can swing results. But Shanahan's tone suggested health isn't the only answer anymore. The league is moving toward teams that can suffocate elite offenses even when their own offense has an off day. So this is the question tying everything together. White's situation, Mac's market, Debo's shadow, Shanahan's hint. Are the 49ers going to invest to be comfortable or invest to be relentless? Because right now the blueprint is clear. You can't keep living on perfect conditions. At the end of the day, it all connects. A locker room shaken by something outside the lines, a cold business decision about value versus security at quarterback, an emotional Debo conversation testing identity, and a head coach basically saying he doesn't want to live on a razor's edge anymore. That promise from the start still stands. 2026 won't be decided by talent alone. It'll be decided by bold choices. Either this team becomes relentless, or it keeps needing everything to be perfect. Now I want your take. Which one of these decisions defines the 49ers' immediate future? Drop it in the comments. Hit like, subscribe. Let's talk this out like real faithful.